Hello and welcome. It's always a pleasure to catch up with an old India friend and a financial journalist who reported on India and from Delhi some years ago. I'm now joined by Joe Johnson, Minister and Chief Advisor to number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister of England. Joe, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Yeah.
So first question in the context of Indo-British relations, how do you see the environment broadly and how do you see the corridor between UK and India?
Well, UK and India are reconnecting at a rapid pace. Under this government, I think the government of David Cameron, we've seen a very substantial investment of energy and time and commitment in building better and deeper relations with India. And this started, you will remember, almost within weeks of the coalition government taking office in May 2010. Within a few weeks, we had the Prime Minister making his first significant overseas visit to India in July 2010 with the Chancellor, the Foreign Secretary, and a number of other important government ministers. And that early commitment reflected India's importance to the UK and a recognition by David Cameron that there was much more that the UK and India could be doing together. And that early commitment was followed up quite systematically with a number of other visits by other ministers and also ongoing work by our trade organizations to see what we can do to lift the barriers to the trade and investment that exist between the UK and India.
Right. We talked about trade. How do you see trade in the context of the fact that both Europe and the UK are picking up as economies? The UK is looking stronger. Europe has clearly come out of recession. Does that affect the outlook towards other countries or other economies?
Well, no, Britain is a trading economy, and it's important for us that our near neighbours in the European Union are growing. Almost half of our exports go to other countries within the European Union. So it's vitally important for us that there is strong growth across the European Union, and it's good news that we can see signs of progress in the Eurozone, albeit not as much improvement as we might like and not happening as rapidly as it might like. That doesn't change the fact that we still need to make sure we're pointing in the right direction as a trading economy and that we're connecting our businesses to faster growing parts of the world, such as India, China, Russia, Brazil, Turkey, Mexico, and so on. So it's important, whilst we mustn't ever neglect our traditional markets in Europe and North America, it's vitally important that we do what we can to reorientate our businesses to more rapidly growing parts of the world.
Joe, there's clearly concern on the financial markets globally. There is a lot of volatility. Many currencies have been depreciating, markets have been falling, and of course appreciating as well. Does all this affect to some extent the level of potential trade, particularly in the near future, in or to emerging markets?
There is a slowdown that's observable, but I think in fact there are reasons to believe that that might have a medium-term beneficial effect if it leads countries to undertake liberalization reforms that they might otherwise have taken longer to take. Slowdowns can be constructive for everybody.
Right. You worked in the city and you're familiar with the needs and the demands of the financial sector. Now, that's been an area of concern for Britain. I mean, not enough has been done to allow more foreign investment into India, into banks and insurance companies. And is that an area of concern for you?
Well, it's been a long-standing barrier to expanding trade and economic engagement between Europe and India, the US and India, for a number of years. There's been the relatively slow pace of liberalization across the piece on the services side, and the financial services and pensions side of things, legal services side of things, has been an important component of that. But we recognize that these are decisions that India make in its own good time, according to its own perception of its own national interest. It's my view that competitive financial services markets are good for consumers, but that's a decision which India must make in its own time.
Right. So I've been reading some of your articles and papers on India. I know that you also reported on India from New Delhi some years ago. Any one or two anecdotes that you could share with us from your time being a journalist in India?
I was lucky to be in India at an incredibly exciting period. As the Financial Times bureau chief in South Asia, I was there between 2005 and 2008, and those were years, as you remember, where the Indian economy was growing at almost 10%, and there was a real buzz and excitement. And I'm sure India can regain those growth rates, and we have every expectation that India will become an increasingly important trading partner and partner in investment for the UK, as it recaptures those very exciting growth rates that we saw in the period when I was actually physically based in the country.
Joe Johnson, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.